An old Peter Parker watches a few kids get beat up by abusive police forces and therefore tries to intervene only to accidentally get beat up as a little girl is shocked, stating that no one is here to help them. Peter comes back to an empty home as it then gets revealed that New York is a really dark place where all heroes and villains have essentially been kicked out by the new government called Reign. Reign is led by Mayor Water, who along with his assistant Sax are getting ready to launch a system called the Web, which is basically a laser-powered barrier that will protect the city from all attacks. However, later, after waking up from a dream with MJ, Peter would get a visit from an old J. Jonah Jameson, who after getting the door shut in his face simply drops a package. He then leaves to cause havoc, calling the cops liars as they beat him up until Pete showed up in the mask that was in the package and stopped the cops. And although Jonah couldn't convince Spidey to come back, he went on his own, starting a whole resistance to hack the news channels and spread the truth about Reign to everyone. The mayor was therefore absolutely pissed until Sax suggested they let out the Sinister Six and implant them with bombs that will explode if they stray from their mission of killing Spidey. The Six go out and humiliate Spidey until Tentacles came out of nowhere, rescuing him and bringing him to MJ's grave. Doc Ock was dead, but he had tasked his tentacles to do this at the right timing to ultimately force him to come to terms with what happened to MJ, as we then find out that MJ had basically died in this universe because of the radiation sickness Peter had given her by sleeping with her, which he eventually comes over and gets ready to save the city. Jonah, however, was eventually captured, where he would stab the mayor and then try to stab Sax, only to see that he was actually Venom, which Jonah had seemingly suspected this whole time. Sax reminds Jonah of how he treated Eddie Brock and then activates the web system, revealing that he's basically gonna turn the entire city into him and then feed on the rest of the planet. The city gets flooded with the symbiote, but people resist, including Sandman's daughter, who actually dies resisting in front of Sandman's eyes. Peter then finally showed up to the building and took down the Sinister Six to ultimately face Venom, who reveals that all of this is because he was left alone by Peter, who didn't care about anyone but himself. However, after some fighting, Sandman shows up and gives Peter the detonator to all the bombs connected to the Sinister Six in the building, which Peter uses to get rid of the building and Venom once and for all, giving the city its freedom back, even though it instantly turned to chaos.